Good day, investors. It's time to stop gambling, start investing. Are you gambling or investing? How do you know which is the difference? So let's take a look at those two things. First of all, are you gambling with your money? You know, a lot of people look at investing as gambling. They kind of equate it the same way. But there's some aspects that's the difference between gambling and investing. First of all, gambling is you're just kind of throwing darts wherever they may lay. You're not really aiming for something. You may have something that you like that you're investing in or whatever, but do you really know much about it? Do you have a plan? What to do when the value of whatever you're investing in goes up or goes down? If you're just buying and hoping, that's gambling. Don't gamble with your money. Don't take advice from me. You know, I'm just a guy with a phone walking through the woods. So, you know, but it's better to have a plan. Have a plan in place. Know what you're doing. Invest instead of gamble. So, investing, like I said, you just have a plan in place. You're going to do so much per week or so much per paycheck or so much per investment. You know, some people, when they're investing, they only invest a certain amount and then they stop. You know, some people are like, I want to buy 1% or 2% of the supply or whatever it is I'm investing in, and then I'll stop and just hold on to it and let it do what it does. You know, you got to be careful how much you put into something. You know, only invest what you're willing to lose. As gambling, you're just kind of throwing it out there. There was a guy, it was several years ago, probably a couple decades ago. I got burned by a guy because I was gambling. I went to they had this fair that came through, and there was this game they were playing. It only cost $5 to play the game. It's real cheap. You know, like some of these things are very cheap. Some of these prediction platforms, real cheap. But he was like, it only costs $5 to place a bet. And I just had to place a bet on a number. Pick the number, you know, like Russian roulette. And so I picked it and I lost. And then he's like, well, you got really close. Let's do it again, double or nothing. Well, I mean, it's only another $5, so that's not that big a deal. Doesn't cost that much money. It's not that high a risk. And guess what? I lost again. And I kept losing. And he kept saying to keep me going, to keep me putting more money into it. He kept going and saying, the only way you lose is if you quit. And I'm like, man, because I kept getting so close to winning, but I kept losing. So I kept putting more and more and more money in it, hoping that it would pan out, hoping that I would get all my money back and I would make a little bit of profit. So I didn't know that the game that I was playing was actually designed for me to lose. That's just the way it works. The way it was designed to work is to take, his goal was to make a profit off of me. When I was playing a game to gamble with. And so I lost a bunch of money. I lost, as a matter of fact, I lost the money to pay the power bill at that time. That was a very important lesson, a very embarrassing lesson. And so don't risk what you're not willing to lose. And as far as investing is concerned, I've lost a lot of money investing too. But I've made a lot of money. I've made pretty good returns off of several investments that I've gotten. And I'm still making money off some of my investments that I've gotten. The difference is, you know what you're getting into ahead of time because you do your own research. You know, these people are always selling the best thing out there, the best this, the best that. Everybody likes it. Everybody's jumping in. You better get in before you can. And you end up getting FOMO, and then you're gambling. You're getting the fear of missing out, and then you're gambling. So it's always best to take a look. What is this thing that these people are talking about? What it makes it so special? How does it work? What am I risking? What's my chances of making my money back plus more? And so if you do that, I had to check my mic, make sure it didn't fall down in the middle of the woods. If you look at it and you do your research and figure out, how does this work? And how am I going to make this work for me? What are the risks involved? How much am I actually going to invest? Am I going to put all of my money in it, or am I going to put so much money in it? You know, you got to have a plan. You got to have a system to put in place. Investing requires a plan and a system. How much are you going to put in? How are you going to put it in? What's it going to do once you put it in there? How are you going to take it out? How long will it take for you to make your money back? You know, I did a video a while back about yield versus profit. And so how long is it going to be before you're in profit? You know, that kind of stuff. You want to know about that ahead of time before you put any money in it. Of course, you know, every now and then, if you've got some play money, you know, sometimes as investors, we just kind of want that feeling of excitement that gambling gives us. And I know the feeling. It's exciting to have an opportunity to win a bunch of money. So sometimes there might be a project that I'll put something in, and it may have a bunch of red flags, but I ain't putting much in it. I ain't putting a lot in it, but it'll feed my little Degen itch, what I call my Degen itch. I'll have to make a video about the Degen itch. So those of y'all that have been in the market, you kind of know about that, what that is and what that feels. So anyways, make sure that you have a plan in place. Make sure that you've done your research. Make sure that you're not gambling, that you're investing. There are certain things that last a long time, been around for a long time. They call them blue chip investments. They're pretty reliable. And then you can have new things that come up, and they may still really be good. But you never know. So anyways, just figured I'd make a video here. It was a pretty day outside. So walking through the woods, tell you what, let me turn this around. You can kind of see walking through the woods. I'm enjoying the weather out here. A big storm came through last night, but it's pretty good now. Anyway, so remember, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. We don't know it all, but we're learning. This is the Learning Investor. Talk to y'all later.